Hello everyone again. Today I've got a lovely flow that is suitable for beginners, but also if you've been practicing yoga for some time, this is also a lovely practice also. If you're completely new to yoga and you have a block or a book or a cushion, bring it in so that it's nice and handy and you can use it as and when's needed. I'm going to sit on my block today and I'm going to invite you to come to a nice seat, or if today you're feeling a little bit tighter or a little bit more nervous, if you've never practiced yoga before, then you can find a chair or a couch, or even come to a lying down position. Really make this practice your own so that you feel confident enough to return again. Get yourself nice and comfortable and take the deepest breath in you've taken all day. And then slowly, with real intention, let that breath go. And then start to bring a real conscious awareness to every single breath. If you're used to yoga with me, we practice lots of different pranayama techniques, breath awareness techniques. But today I just want you to be aware of the breath. So if you're new, don't be nervous, just listen to every single breath, really bringing your full conscious awareness to your breath. Taking the breath right down deep into the belly. Think of the downward movement of the inhale and the upward movement of the exhale. And if, like me, today there's loads of distractions going on in my house. Maggie's got a new toy, the kids are upstairs, so there's lots of distractions. Just try and bring the focus to the breath. It's really hard sometimes to really block out all those external distractions. So even if you just manage to catch a real awareness of one full in-breath and one full out-breath. I'm going to give you 5 more rounds of real deep, conscious breaths. For the last 2 rounds of breath, close your eyes if they aren't already. See if you can sit up a little taller on the inhale, and then on the exhale let the shoulders round down. Sit up a little bit taller on your next inhale, and then ground the shoulders down the back body. Inhale, sit up a little bit taller. On the exhale, let the shoulders glide down the back body. Feel the navel draw into the spine here. If you're laying down, just see if you can find length from the toes right to the crown of the head. And perhaps if you're laying down, you draw the shoulders together and down so you feel a little bit of a lift in the heart. then let the breath settle in. See if you can still keep that length whether you're laying down or sitting up. If you're sitting up, it's the length from the tailbone all the way to the top of the crown. Try to not let the shoulders come back up to the ears, really drawing the shoulders down, letting the elbows become nice and heavy. Let the breath come to a nice natural rhythm now. So although you're still aware of the breath, and you always will be throughout today's class, try to focus on other things also. So there's the awareness of the breath in the background, but perhaps you're just taking note of any tightness or any unwanted sensations in the body. Perhaps the mind's wandering off because you're aware that you have stuff to do today, things that you should have done yesterday. Don't worry, just land on the mat. Acknowledge that all of those distractions are going to be there anyway, and then slowly bring it back to the breath. If you're laying down, you can stay there if you want, or you can join us seated. A nice comfortable position wherever you are. Remember, this is your practice, and you always want to make your practice something that you're willing to return to. If you make your practice my practice, it won't ever be the same. So really find your own way in today's class. Start to make very small circles with the nose, just starting to open through the neck a little bit. If you're laying down, perhaps you'd like to drop the nose over to one shoulder and then slowly roll through the back of the head to the other shoulder. So right from the off, you're setting this practice up to be your own. You're finding something that suits your body. So consciously you're looking for the yes signals from these shapes. So the yes signals from the body to say that these shapes feel really good. Lovely. Then reverse the circles. Perhaps the circles start to draw in a little bit smaller. Perhaps you're making them a bit bigger. And then just come to a gentle stop with those circles. And then on your next inhale, draw the shoulders right up to the ears. And then exhale, ground them down. Really link up with the breath. Inhale, shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, draw them back and down again, giving your body a chance to become aware of any sensations in the body. Really sync this movement up with the breath. Lovely, one more time. Don't lose that connection to your tummy. So we're not rounding down through the back, we're still sitting up nice and tall. It's just the shoulders, and this time drop them down. Lovely, big inhale, big reach up here. Sync it with the breath, stretch through the fingers, but draw the shoulders down, like that big morning stretch here. If you want to really stretch up nice and tall, keep the elbows soft, but if you want to find a little bit of room within the shoulders, just open through the elbows a little bit more. Lovely, deep breath in again. Exhale, release the hands all the way down, wherever you are, whether you're on your back or sitting up, just release down. Give yourself a chance just to become aware of any sensations. And now is always a nice time to set an intention for your practice today. And that can be anything. It can be just the fact that you're gonna do the shapes, but you're really looking out for your breath. Perhaps you're just gonna be aware, present throughout the whole of today's class. Or perhaps your intention is just to manage to get through the whole of today's class. So whatever your intention is, set it now, plant it like a seed. And then from from here. If you're still laying down, join us seated. We won't be seated for very long. Remind yourself of your intention as you lift your hands up and just start to make circles through the wrists here, and incorporate the whole of the hand. So really stretching and clenching, making fists and opening up through the hands, preparing the wrists ready to come into tabletop position. So really be aware, and how you move matters. So I want you to really be aware of how you get from one shape to the other. Don't just plonk yourself from here through to tabletop position. Move with intention. How you move is what matters the most. Lovely. So take a deep breath in again, and you're going to stretch the hands all the way in front of you. Stretch through the fingers, and then slowly, slowly come all the way through to a nice tabletop position. Move Maggie to the top there. So tabletop position. We'll set up from the floor first. So spread your fingers nice and wide, wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and you're on the tops of your feet. So really press into the tops of your feet here. And then we start to draw up through the belly. I'll tuck my t-shirt in so you can see. What we don't want is the belly to hang and we're sort of just hanging out here. We want to lift away from the mat, and we want to bring awareness to our centre. We want to start to awaken the spine here. So think of that lovely length from tailbone to the crown of your head. Shoulders are away from the ears. We're not locking the elbows out. We're keeping the elbows nice and soft so that our joints don't take too much of the weight. We let the muscles do the work for us. So again, shoulders away from the ears. We're going to take a moment here, really finding your foundation in tabletop. And if this pose is familiar to you, just be aware of any sensations. So note how they feel in the body. Note that when you're kinder to yourself, rather than just dumping yourself in tabletop position, when you really set yourself up, how being kinder to our body makes you feel better within yourself. And maybe if this is your first time in this shape, perhaps your wrists are starting to talk to you, that's fine. You can come off your wrists and move them about and then come back in, as long as you're setting up this shape for success. Lovely. So take a deep breath in. Full exhale. So we're starting to light the fire in our belly just a little bit. Our back is nice and long. Deep breath in. We're going to drop the belly, cow pose. So tailbone shines up to the sky. Our heart opens up towards the top edge of the mat, and our shoulders draw back and away. And then on our next exhale, we reverse this. So tailbone tucks under first. You'll feel that little ripple effect go all the way up to your spine. Chin tucks to the chest. Shoulders go left to right. Lovely. Inhale, moving from the base of the spine first. Belly drops, cow pose. Heart opens up towards the top edge of the mat. On your next exhale, from the tailbone first, tuck everything under. We draw the navel in. Chin tuck, shoulders left to right, pressing into the fingertips just to take the weight off of the wrists a little bit. Lovely. Then we'll go again. Big inhale, drop the belly. Heart opens up towards the top edge of the mat. Big exhale, round through, tailbone moves first. Then we feel that whole movement through the whole of the spine. Awakening the spine just a little bit more. From here, tuck your toes, walk your hands back to a nice kneeling position. Hands on the thighs. Now we're really opening up through the bottom of the feet. And again, this is a shape that if you've done my classes before, you know that we do this quite a lot. And this sort of shape talks to a lot of people, even in the first second of doing it. So what we're going to do, we're going to work on the foundation. Rather than dumping our weight onto our hips and just hanging out, we're going to lift up. So we're still finding that lovely connection through the spine, through the core, the shoulders draw down and away. we're individually pressing into every single toe here. So right from the pinky toe all the way through to the big toe. Shoulders draw down and away. And again, if you need to come off of the feet, come off of the feet and reset yourself up. Perhaps you notice if you've done this a few times that there's different sensations going on. Maybe you're here for one more breath than you were before. And again, if this is a shape that's familiar to you, how can you explore this shape? Rather than just being in this shape, how can you explore it? Can you sit up a little bit taller? Can you firmly press your toes into the earth a bit more? Lovely, deep breath in. As you exhale, come back through to tabletop position. Set yourself up, so draw your belly in, untuck your toes, deep breath in. We're going to lift our knees, so we're on the tops of our feet, lifting our knees, lovely. Press into every single fingertip. Heart is in between the shoulder space here, lovely. Belly draws in, the crown of the head is still nice and long, so we're not collapsing anywhere. We're lifting, we're pressing the mat away, deep breath in. Exhale to release. Lovely. Walk your hands forward just a little bit. Tuck your toes under. And we're going to move all the way through into down dog. But I want you to think about how you're going to get there. So try to resist the urge of just pressing yourself into down dogs, letting the hips go high. See if you can move with real intention. So let the knees hover first. Perhaps then you bring them back down again. Lovely. Perhaps this time you drop the belly. Then you let the knees hover and then you slowly, slowly press yourself to down dog and start to find a movement here that feels really good. Soften the elbows, let the shoulders come away from the ears, let the head be nice and heavy. The hip points are shining up towards the ceiling here. Really generously bend the knees. If this is your first time in down dog, bend the knees to give yourself a little bit more space. That way the chest is going to shine towards the thighs and it will give you a little bit more movement in the hips here. And again, if this is a shape that's familiar to you, what can you do to explore? So you're getting rid of your ego here if you're not new to yoga. And you're coming back to that beginner's mindset, so always moving with exploration and inquiry. What movement can you do here to make this shape feel a little bit more comfortable? Do you need to take your feet a little bit wider to give yourself a little bit more space? Perhaps you need to take your hands in a little bit closer. Perhaps you need to draw the belly in, and rather than just letting the hips shine up and the belly curve, can you draw that lower rib down towards the belly button? And again, if this shape is making parts of your body talk to you that haven't spoken to you for a while, just breathe. See if you can stay for one more breath. Any movement here, any movement that gets your body used to the sensation of being in this upside down V. Beautiful, deep, deep breath in, and then with intention, slowly, slowly on the exhale, release the knees down to the earth. Keep the toes tucked. Walk your hands back. Kneeling position. Can you close the eyes? Can you just be with breath? Beautiful. One last deep breath in, and then as you exhale, come back through to your tabletop position. So rather than sort of moving in a casual, habitual way, can you move in a way that's fully present? So find your nice tabletop position. And then from here, there's no drastic move here. I don't want you to be scared. So however you need to get there, just bring your right leg through for a nice lunge. And if you can't get it there straight away, use your hand. We want that front ankle and front knee to be in that nice long line, so the joints are stacking up on top of one another. And then we work from the ground up. So we're going to keep that back knee dropped, we're going to come onto the top of that back foot, squeeze the inner thighs together, squeeze the hips together, and what you might feel you're doing here is dropping. So what I want you to think is tailbone to crown, nice big length, nice long line, so lifting the heart, making the bottom half of your body really strong, and then drawing into your belly here. Shoulders away from the ears, so you're finding that little lift. And then it's really nice here to get a nice bit of movement in this lunge. So again, if you're a regular yoga or yogi, this is where you can really explore. You can maybe lift that back knee and have a little bit of move here. But if you're a beginner, just finding places that can get you into that position where the body says yes, and then listen intently for any parts or any movements where the body's saying no, and then you just pull it back a little bit. So just take a couple of rounds of breath here, nothing fancy, we're just finding a nice little bit of movement, a little bit of lift through the chest, drawing in through the belly, getting our bodies used to this shape. Lovely, then plant the hands, come all the way back, tabletop position, draw your belly in, push away from the mat, and then bring the left leg through. Again, taking time, so if you need to use your hand, use your hand. Ankle and knee in that nice alignment so the joints are stacked, squeezing the inner thighs together, squeezing the hips together, drawing the belly in, lifting through the heart, drawing the shoulders away from the ears, and then wherever you are, moving. Perhaps you're finding places that are a little bit creaky, perhaps you're finding places that the body feels really good in that shape. All the time with the breath in mind. And on this side of the body, you know how you're moving, you know this shape. So you might know what you want to explore on this side, you're clear about everything. And that's what happens with yoga practice. You become familiar with the moves, you get to know your body. Lovely deep, deep breath in. And then as you exhale, step it back, tabletop position. Take a moment, get nice and comfortable. And then take your hands forward, tuck your toes under, drop your belly to cow, and then press all the way up, down dog, moving nice and slowly, lifting the hips. If you need to generously bend the knees to get yourself there, bend the knees. If you feel that you can straighten them a little bit more, straighten them, lifting the hip points up towards the sky, but drawing that lower rib in so you've got connection to your core muscles. Shoulders away from the ears, elbows soft. Press into all 10 fingers. Find a little movement. And whatever that movement is for you, perhaps you have a go at maybe picking up one leg, not too high, perhaps giving it a shake. Picking up the other leg, perhaps this one goes a little bit higher. Perhaps bending both knees, lifting the hips up. I'm going to leave you here for 5 rounds of breath. If you need to take a rest in child's pose, rest in child's pose. Remember, your practice, not mine. Lovely, now slowly, slowly bend both knees, take a look towards the top edge of the mat, and then however many steps you need to take to get your feet to meet your hands in forward fold. So feet are about hip width apart, but again that's going to be different for everybody. If they feel better closer together, then you can bring them closer, perhaps wider. Generously bend the knees. If you've got a block or a book or a blanket, it's quite nice to bring the block to just under your nose, and it gives you a little bit more lift. It can perhaps give you a chance to work on lengthening through the back of the legs. But if not, a nice bend in the knees, letting the head drop, the chin to the chest. Perhaps you clasp opposite hand to opposite elbow. I'm going to give you a moment just to breathe in this shape, just to feel out. Giving yourself a chance to make this practice your own. Perhaps you paddle through the feet. Lovely, now listen very carefully. Hands are going to slide up the front of the leg to the thighs. The back is going to become nice and flat. Elbows are going to pinch into the side body. Think tailbone to crown length. Think nice flat back as well. The belly draws in. Beautiful. Deep, deep breath in here. And then exhale, release everything down. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly roll all the way up. Mountain pose when you're there. So press your weight through your feet. Weird's going on with my hair here. Shoulders draw down the back body. Let the palms open up, but don't really stretch through the hands here. Keep them soft, but let the hands become heavy, and that will help draw the elbows and the shoulders down. What we don't want to do is let the belly drop forward and the hips sink back, so we're just hanging out here. Tuck the tailbone underneath your centre. Lift your chest, but we don't want that lower rib flaring out. Draw that lower rib down towards the belly button. So in actual fact, you're not just standing, this should feel quite strong. You're pressing through your feet, you're drawing your kneecaps up. In class, I often think or talk about the energy coming up the front body, so you'll feel that lift through the kneecaps, the tailbone and the belly drawing in, the chest lifting, the crown of the head lifting, and then the shoulders grounding down the back body, tailbone tucking under. You'll feel the heels sink into the earth. Lovely. From here, we're just going to take the left arm. We're going to make nice big circles here. So spread the palms. We're going to move forward first. Big reach forward, then big reach up, round and back. Try and keep the hips facing forward. So we really want to open through the shoulders to prepare us for our warrior poses. See if you can marry this with the breath also. And then when you're there, reverse. So nice big reach back, up and forward. Lovely, one more. Then we're going to take it to the right arm. So stretching through the fingers, reach down first, then reach forward, up, round and back. Lovely, keep going. Really working through that shoulder joint. Perhaps working out any creaks or perhaps unwanted sensations. Perhaps you need to draw it back a little bit and not maybe open up so wide. Lovely, take it back the other way. 4 big circles. Lovely, then both hands reach down to come all the way up. Big, big reach. Volcano pose. Draw the shoulders down away from the ears. Stretch through the fingers. Big, big reach. Perhaps you look up, perhaps you don't. And then exhale, take it down. Let the elbows open, let the shoulders open all the way down. Forward fold. Giving yourself a chance here just to move, just for a moment. Lovely, inhale, half lift, slide those hands all the way up the front of your legs to your thighs, draw your shoulders back, keeping the knees nice and soft here. We're not locking out, we're keeping them soft. We're thinking about the tailbone moving forward and the crown moving forward. The glance is down. Lovely, deep, deep breath in. Exhale, slide it all the way down. And then inhale, roll all the way up. Mountain pose, take a round of breath, find that loop of energy. And then inhale, big reach up. Lovely. From here, just drop your hands to your waist. And I'm going to turn myself around so that you can see what's going on this side of the body. Stay where you are. You're going to step your right foot back and the toes are going to open out ever so slightly. So the big toe is facing towards the top right corner of your mat. That front leg is bent, so the knee and the the knee and the ankle are in line. Hips are facing forward-ish, but we don't want to yank them forward. We want them to just settle into this shape wherever feels comfortable. So we don't want to be opening up just yet. We want to let the hips sink into a place that feels really comfortable. And you're not locked in this position. In actual fact, you could move quite freely if you wanted to, and I encourage you to do that. So just so you can settle in to what's going to be Warrior One. Letting your hips settle in, your feet settle in. We're powering through that back foot here. And when you feel that you've got it, tuck your tailbone under. Remember, we don't want those ribs drawing out. We want to draw them in towards the belly button. Big inhale, big reach up, Warrior One. Again, shoulders away from the ears. And we don't want to hug everything in really tight here. We want to find softness. So when you're there, settle in. Give yourself a chance to recognise this shape. That right leg is really working strong here to keep you in this position. Shoulders away, lifting through the crown of the head, tailbone tucking under, pressing through that back foot. And then when you feel ready, big inhale. Exhale, open out, Warrior Two. So right hand reaches towards the back edge of the mat, left hand reaches forward. We can look into that space beyond our left fingers and then see if you can reach into that space. So the arms are working really strong here. Again, we don't want them hugging up towards the ears, we want to draw them down away. And again, if this is a shape that you're used to, are you still exploring what's happening? Perhaps if you sink the pelvis down a little bit more. Lovely, deep breath in. As you exhale, you're going to pivot on that back foot. Arms are going to reach all the way overhead. A nice high lunge here. Sink into it. Can that back heel drop a little bit more, or perhaps you need to come out, perhaps you need to bend both knees to make this a little bit of a nicer shape for your body. We're moving with the sensation in mind rather than what the shape looks like. Deep inhale, get a little bit buoyant on the legs, and then as you exhale, step it all the way to the top edge of your mat, release your hands, close your eyes and breathe here. Lovely, then when you're ready, big reach with the hands. I'm going to move to the other side of the mat. Hands down to the waistline, and then this time step your left foot back. Toes open, the big toe opens up towards the top left edge of the mat. Settle yourself in, that front knee is in line with that front ankle. Moving around, snuggling our hips into a place that feels really good. Maybe you need to take your feet a little bit wider to give yourself a little bit more surface to work within rather. And if you know this shape, how are you exploring? Are you sinking your hips down? Are you tucking that tailbone in, lower ribs down so the belly's nice and strong? Big inhale, hands can reach up over the head. Warrior One. Take a moment here, making sure we're not flaring, we're bringing everything in, we're nice and strong, we're powering through that back leg. Then when you're ready, open out Warrior Two. Look beyond those right fingers here and then stretch into that space. Perhaps we sink the pelvis down a little bit more, and when we sink it down, we don't load that front leg. We think about our weight dropping right down, not leaning forward. All those checkpoints that we've spoken about. Lovely, deep, deep breath in. As you exhale, pivot on that back foot. Hands reach up overhead. We find that nice high lunge, our version of it, whatever that means to you. You feel power through that back leg. Perhaps that left glute is starting to switch on. Lovely, deep breath in, get a little bit buoyant, and then exhale, step it up, top edge of your mat. Hands release, close your eyes, breathe. You find that little loop of energy, just so that you're not hanging out here, you're working in this shape. You're noticing what you feel. And then big inhale, big reach up. Exhale, forward fold, however you want to get there. If you need to get your block or your book, bend both knees if you need to, or perhaps this time you work on getting those legs just a little bit more straighter, letting the chin tuck in, shoulders nice and heavy. Inhale, half lift. Take a couple of rounds of breath here, really stretching through crown to tailbone. Drawing that belly in so we're not rounding through, we're lifting up, keeping the energy running nice and freely through the spine. Exhale, forward fold, beautiful, plant your palms. If you need to generously bend your knees to do that, generously bend your knees. You're going to step your right foot all the way back, then your left foot all the way back, plank pose. Now, if this is too much for you, you can drop your knees, come into a nice half plank. The weight is, your shoulders are in line with your wrists, so the weight is forward. The belly's drawn in. We're still thinking about that lovely line from tailbone to crown. If you're in full plank, can you let the heels really shine towards the back edge of the mat? Trying not to let the belly flare open. The ribs are still drawing down to the belly button. We're pressing that heart space in between the shoulders. Deep breath in. Exhale, drop your knees all the way down. Sit yourself back. Come onto the tops of your feet. Child's pose. Forehead down towards the earth, or you've got a block or a book. Your forehead can come down to the block. From here, we're going to paint our hands all the way down our mat. Palms facing up, fingertips to the bottom edge of the mat, shoulders round down. Breathe. You've got 5 breaths here. So again, if this is a familiar shape for you, don't just wait in this shape. Explore, learn more about yourself. And if this shape doesn't suit you, how can you make it more comfortable? Perhaps you need to take the legs or the knees a little bit wider. Perhaps the hands to the back of the mat aren't feeling it, so you stretch them towards the top edge of the mat. Perhaps your hips aren't reaching your heels, and that's when you can bring in a blanket or a cushion, and the hips can just sit back. And well, if we bring the cushion onto our heels, you can sit back onto the cushion or the block there. Lovely, 2 more breaths. Lovely, slowly, slowly. Bring yourself all the way back up to tabletop position. Swing your legs around and take your legs nice and long. Now again, this is a position that's going to be different for everybody. So find a little bit of energy through the feet, lift the toes up towards the sky, flex the toes towards the face if you can. And if you need to bend the knees because you're tight in your back body, bend the knees so that you can bring again a cushion, block, blanket underneath your knees, and your legs can rest on that. Just think about that lift through the chest, the shoulders drawing down and away, the tummy drawing in, the lower ribs drawing down towards the belly button. Close the eyes, staff pose, breathe. Just 3 breaths here. Just exploring wherever you are, inviting a little bit of inquiry into your mind. Lovely, then we're going to bend the right knee. The right foot is going to come roughly to the left knee, but again, this is a shape that you can adapt to however you want to make it feel comfortable. So nice and easy, we're just going to take a twist towards that right knee. You can hook that left elbow onto that right knee if you want, or you might just want to take a nice gentle twist here, perhaps not holding on to anything, just exploring how this shape feels for you. But try not to round off through the back. So if you're in a position where the back's rounding off and you can't lengthen it, just come out a little bit more. Lift the chest, drop the chin just a little bit. And then you can use the breath if you want to explore into this shape a little bit more. Again, just asking yourself, where are you feeling this? Are the sensations pleasant? Is it the yes signals from the body? If it's the no signals, come out of it ever so slightly. Lovely, on your exhale, release, take it over to the other side. And exactly the same thing here, just journeying into this twist to wherever you feel comfortable, to the point where you can still feel that lift through the chest, through the heart, the shoulders draw down and away. We're breathing nice and easy here. The breath hasn't become laboured at all. If it has, pull it back. Lovely, deep breath in as you exhale, come out of it. And then slowly, slowly, again, still moving with the body in mind, coming all the way onto your back, drawing your knees into your belly, taking a nice hug here. You've got 5 breaths to really explore this shape. Perhaps you take circles with the knees. Perhaps you open through the hips a little bit more, perhaps happy baby if that's a shape that's familiar to you. Take it gently, really honour this moment. 3 more breaths. The body will be telling you how to move in some way or other. Perhaps it's asking for stillness. Just listen. 2 more breaths. Last round of breath. Make the most of it. And then gently slide your feet out. Shavasana. Open the hands out. Snuggle the shoulders down. Let the body become nice and heavy. Find a place that's comfortable for you to be in meditation. Softly close your eyes and take some deep breaths to relax into the present moment. Let go of anything that has happened before this point, anything that needs to happen after. And just take a moment to practice real awareness of your breath. And now bring your full attention to your toes. Become aware of any sensation here. And if you don't feel anything, just notice the absence of feeling. But whatever sensation is there, let it be without judging it or trying to change it. And then let your attention move on. Slowly bring your focus to the soles of your feet. Again, simply noticing any sensation in them. Moving to the sides of your feet. And then to the tops of your feet. Now rest your attention on your ankles, which carry the weight of your body. What sensations do you feel here? Simply become aware of them. And then shift your attention to the next spot. Continuing up your legs, your calves, your shins, knees and thighs. Whatever sensation there is, notice it and then move on. And if you're finding it hard to concentrate today, try silently just labeling that part of the body where your attention resides. Moving to your hips. Awareness of the region as your attention rests on it. Noticing what sensations are there. And then once you have, moving on to the next area. Shifting your attention now to your abdomen and lower back. Now your chest, spending as long as necessary on each area until you become aware of a sensation or absence of sensation. You don't have to analyse or name the sensation. All you're doing is noticing it. Becoming aware of the shoulders, so often a source of tension. What do you feel here? Sweeping your attention down the arms, the upper arms, elbows, the lower arms and wrists. And then noticing the sensations in the hands. Now focus your full attention on the neck and throat. Slowly moving up the face, the jaw, the mouth, the upper lip, nostrils, the cheeks, your ears, your eyes and forehead. You may notice sensations on the surface of your skin or inside your body. There's no need to look for anything particular. Just simply notice what is here. And then finally, sweep your attention over the back of your head, picking up any sensations that are there, whatever they are. And then rest for a few moments, being aware of the body as a whole. And before you move away from this meditation and get on with the rest of your day, try to bring this awareness of the body with you as you go about your daily chores, your daily life, always being aware of the body. Namaste.